Okay. There we go. So, Kyva, go. How you been? Squeeze the cans, please. Zenu. Collective narcissism. And the charismatic leader-follower relationship. Link to Wikipedia. Another subconcept encompassed by collective narcissism is that of the charismatic leader-follower relationship, theorized by political psychologist Gerald Post. Post takes the view that collective narcissism is exhibited as a collection of individual narcissists and discusses how this type of relationship emerges when a narcissistic, charismatic leader appeals to narcissistic, in quotations, ideal-hungry followers. An important characteristic of the leader-follower relationship are the manifestations of narcissism by both the leader and the follower of a group. Now, I've seen posts all over the damn place on Facebook about, I dated a narcissist, like, okay, let's look at what a narcissist really is. Because I guarantee you that most of these fucking people, pardon my français, are not talking about a narcissist. They're talking about a bad relationship. All right. The psychological definition of narcissism is extreme selfishness with a grandiose view of one's own talents and a craving for admiration as characterized by personality type. The psychoanalytic definition is self-centeredness arising from failure to distinguish the self from external objects, either in very young babies or as a feature of a mental disorder. Failure to distinguish the self from external objects. In other words, I am everything. The term full of yourself, well, the expression full of yourself would really be better described, in my opinion, of this psychoanalytic definition as full of everything. Full of it. Everything is related to you. You can't distinguish yourself. Like if something happens to you that's bad, per the definition of the psychoanalytic definition of narcissism, the narcissist is going to feel really bad. Because after all, everything is them. And then the noun definition is excessive or erotic interest in oneself and one's physical appearance. Vanity, self-love, self-admiration. Think about the witch that look at mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest of them all? Now that may fit some of these descriptions of past relationships I see on Facebook, which I'm not really that active anymore on Facebook. I can't stand the freaking vomit feed. Yeah, narcissistic. It's a term that I don't think should be thrown around lightly, but that's just me. All right, so an important characteristic of the leader-follower relationship are the manifestations of narcissism by both the leader and the follower of the group. In this case, LRH and all of his followers. Within this relationship, there are two categories of narcissists. The mirror-hungry narcissist and the ideal-hungry narcissist. The leader and the followers, respectively. The mirror-hungry personality typically seeks a continuous flow of admiration and respect from his followers. Conversely, the ideal-hungry narcissist takes comfort in the charisma and confidence of his mirror-hungry leader. The relationship is somewhat symbiotic, for while the followers provide the continuous admiration needed by the mirror-hungry leader, aka LRH, aka David Miscavige, aka your mission holder, aka an opinion leader, celebrity, whatever. The leader's charisma provides the follower with a sense of security and purpose that their ideal hungry narcissism seeks. Fundamentally, both the leader and the followers exhibit strong collective narcissistic statements. Both parties are seeking greater justification and reason to love their group as much as possible. Perhaps the most significant example of this phenomenon would be that of Nazi Germany. Adolf Hitler's charisma and polarizing speeches satisfied German people's hunger for a strong leader. Hitler's speeches were characterized by their emphasis on strength, referring to Germany, and weakness, referring to the Jewish people. Some have even described Hitler's speeches as hypnotic, even to non-German speakers, and his rallies as watching hypnosis on a large scale. Hitler's charisma convinced the German people to believe that they were not weak, and that by destroying the perceived weakness among them, the Jews, they would enhance their own strength, satisfying their ideal hungry desire for strength and pleasing their mirror-hungry charismatic leader. Okay. Kyva, go. The charismatic leader in the situation, Adam, Travis, Jason, Monica, John, Karen, George, Don, Ed, Wayne, all the people on staff, Dominic, Sean, McHugh. Of course, there's LRH. He's the mirror charismatic leader, mirror hungry charismatic leader. But there's a symbiotic relationship between that leader and the leader that we follow, which was the Steiners, Tom and Kathy. Now, there are a lot of people that would probably call me a narcissist. I've been called a narcissist before. More than once. But here's the thing. Tom and Kathy Steiner never intimidated me, nor did I seek their fucking approval. Especially Kathy. If anything, I related to Tom. I liked Tom. He was pretty straightforward. He's a fucking douchebag. And so is Kathy. But Kathy was the mirror hungry narcissist in this situation. Whereas the mirror hungry personality typically seeks a continuous flow of admiration and respect from their followers. She expected that. She expected when she walked into the mission, flows of admiration, love. I mean, if it would have been socially acceptable to fall to her feet and kiss her fucking feet, she would have gladly accepted that as a hello. And many of the followers, like Monica or Dominic or Vicky, Wayne, revered her as some sort of fucking savior. And an OT, she was an OT7, so she could just come in and tell you what to do, and they would do it. And people were afraid of her. But at the same time, she was kind of like a queen, you know, like she would bestow, you know, like, oh, you're out ethics. It's okay. I still love you. Here's your, I forgot this word until Travis did his interview. Tip. Give you a tip. Technical individual program. Write it up for you. Here you go. I was reprimanded more than a couple of times for speaking to Kathy in a way that was disrespectful. In other words, I would ask questions. When Travis and Destiny left together, I said, I told them in an executive meeting, I said, they're not coming back, or if they do come back, they're leaving. Travis is not wrong. I was gung-ho. And that, you know, at that time, they considered me more of an SP than Destiny was. And I was trying to tell them, look, Destiny's fucking SP. And when Travis comes back, they're going to blow. Well, Kathy sat at the end of the fucking executive table and said, you're out ethics. And you need to leave. Okay. I said my piece. I'm out. But she would not allow us to go home for Christmas together, because she believed that I was the one that was going to convince him to blow. All right. I like this comparison to Nazi Germany. It's so Scientology, it's not even funny. The Nazis and Scientology have a lot in common. Polarizing talk. And then just at the end here, to talk about the ideal hungry narcissist, which would be the staff members. They're ideals. You know, they're hungry for ideals. Give me an ideal to put in front of me, and that carrot to chase. They take comfort from the charisma and confidence of the mirror hungry leader. So Kathy would never be upset or stressed about anything. Rarely. Occasionally, she would come in like the Queen of Sheba and just act like she was going to chop heads off. Like the time where we had to confront the course room. So, effort justification. Effort justification we're moving on. Effort justification is an idea and paradigm in social psychology stemming from Leon Festinger's theory of cognitive dissonance. Great theory. Effort justification is a person's tendency to attribute a value to an outcome which they had put effort into achieving greater than the objective value of the outcome. To explain further, cognitive dissonance explains changes in people's attitudes or behaviors as a result of an attempt to reduce dissonance between contradicting ideas or cognitions. In the case of effort justification, there is a dissonance between the amount of effort exerted into achieving a goal or completing a task and the subjective reward for that effort, lower than was expected. By adjusting and increasing one's attitude or subjective value of the goal, this dissonance is resolved. So, when you, since it's new and relevant and you've probably watched it, Travis talks about the cannibalization of our own staff for GI, gross income. Effort justification applies here. There's a large amount of cognitive dissonance because you're registering, in other words, selling people shit that are already on staff who don't have any fucking money. Ties into the ideals here, like clearing the planet, and there's this like dopamine release when you do it. So when you reach that target, so like we need 20,000 GI on the board. Well, let's get Destiny to refinance her truck and get 18 of that. All right, so in the case of effort justification, there is dissonance between the amount of effort exerted. Get her to mortgage her truck for $18,000. Decent amount of effort. And for the subjective reward for that effort, lower than was expected for such an effort. You want to get paid this week? Well, it's time to reg somebody. You don't have anyone to reg? You haven't brought anybody in the door? Nobody's in the shop? Well, what about Destiny? She's got some problems. Let's get her on a life repair. Okay, now we can all get paid. $46.50 every 2 weeks, if you're lucky. If you do a cycle like that, a cycle. Start, change, stop. Then you get paid. But it's hardly proportionate. It's vastly disproportionate. $18,000 for a $46 paycheck. But the effort is justified with the belief. There you go. So, social undermining. Where do we go here? Social undermining. Kyva go, I'm gonna do this. Where did it go? Huh. That's not it. Social undermining. There we go. This is bottom line mentality. Social undermining. Bottom line is defined as profits or losses of a business, right? Bottom line. What's the bottom line? Greenbaum and colleagues found that some employees tend to focus on a bottom line outcome, which may be related to their tendency to engage in social undermining behavior. If you've ever seen the movie Boiler Room, or even better, the Alec Baldwin classic, Jack Lemmon's in it. It's a sales movie. Get them to sign on the line which is dotted. Alec Baldwin sales movie. Glengarry Glen Ross. All right. So bottom line sales kind of goes along with the hard sell pack and all the great car sale stuff that was going on. Dale Carnegie and Les Dane books, How to Win Friends and Influence People, and that other book. So employees with a bottom line mentality tend to focus only on the bottom line and to neglect other outcomes of their actions, including interpersonal consequences. So your junior, your senior, your peer, other staff member, fuck them. Fuck their stats. What's your bottom line? What's your stats? That's another way to say, what's your bottom line in Scientology? That is what you say. What are your stats? When Travis wanted some liberty, to go do something, sightsee probably, in Hollywood, and he was denied his CSW, completing staff work, which allows you to leave. Yes, you have to sign a form and get it approved by an executive to leave, to do anything. I can't think of any CSW that he wrote that got approved. And if you write a CSW and you're upstat and it gets denied, you just leave. Fuck them. That's how you handle that. But the bottom line mentality, employees with the bottom line mentality tend to focus on the bottom line, their stats. So, and neglect all other outcomes, including interpersonal consequences. So you'll fuck over your best friend. You'll fuck over anybody as long as it gets your stats up. And that's effort justification. The amount of justification, or the justification is your stats. Competitiveness is created between the co-workers to attain bottom line outcomes, to attain stats. Jason and Adam had a lot of rivalry when it came to that. Book selling, body routing, HGC, Hubbard Guidance Counseling, auditing, sales. And, you know, there were times whenever things were pretty tense between those two. And there are times when people who get along great, like even myself and Monica, would be very hostile towards each other because of our stats. You know, what are your stats? I don't give a fuck about anything else except your stats. Okay. Moving right along. Interrogation. Sleep deprivation can be used as a means of interrogation, which has resulted in court trials over whether or not the technique is a form of torture. Under one interrogation technique, a subject might be kept awake for several days and, when finally allowed to sleep, suddenly awakened and questioned. I've talked about this before in the covert hypnosis video, and the whether this is known or not, it's a factor. There's a physiological factor. When you keep someone up for a long time, then you wake them during REM sleep, there is a potential there, the brain-derived neurotropic factor, that can increase the chance that neural stem cells will be produced. And in interrogation scenarios, if neural stem cells are created, then the brain cells are created. It's called neurogenesis. So you'll have people admit to things they didn't do. In the head of the interrogated prisoner, the haze begins to form. His spirit is wearied to death, his legs are unsteady, and he has one sole desire: to sleep. Anyone who has experienced this desire knows that not even hunger and thirst compare with it. That's described by the NKVD in Russia. And you know them Russians are serious about their interrogations. Sleep deprivation was one of the 5 techniques used by the British government in the 1970s. The European Court of Human Rights ruled that the 5 techniques, quote, did not occasion suffering of the particular intensity and cruelty implied by the word torture, but amounted to the practice of inhumane and degrading treatment, in breach of the European Convention on Human Rights. The United States Justice Department released 4 memos in 2002 describing interrogation techniques used by the CIA. They first described 10 techniques used in the interrogations of Abu Zubaydah, described as terrorist logistics specialists, including sleep deprivation. Memos from May 2005 introduced 4 more techniques that claimed that the combination of interrogation methods did not constitute torture under U.S. law. The question of extreme use of sleep deprivation as torture has advocates on both sides of the issue. In 2006, Australian Federal Attorney General Philip Ruddock agreed that sleep deprivation does not constitute torture. Nicole Bieski, a spokesperson for Amnesty International Australia, has stated the opinion of her organization, thus, at the very least, sleep deprivation is cruel, inhumane, and degrading. If used for prolonged periods of time, it is torture. I agree. So, studies show that sleep restriction has some potential in the treatment of depression. I've gone over this before, too. Those who suffer from depression tend to have earlier occurrences of REM sleep with an increased number of rapid eye movements. Therefore, monitoring patients' EEG and awakening them during occurrences of REM appears to have a therapeutic effect. This explains how the depression is kept at bay when you are sleep deprived on staff. There's a 60% chance, but as many as 60% of patients when sleep deprived show immediate recovery, although most relapse the following night. The effect has been shown to link increases in brain-derived neurotropic factor with eveningness preference show an improvement in mood. I don't even know what that means. Eveningness. A comprehensive evaluation of the human metabolome in sleep deprivation in 2014 found that 27 metabolites are increased after 24 waking hours and suggested serotonin, tryptophan, and taurine may contribute to the antidepressive effect. So, taurine, Red Bull, combination of sleep deprivation and then lack of sleep and lack of quality sleep. Because when you go to sleep, you tend to get woken up on staff in the staff house. You don't sleep well. There's 8, 9, 10, 12, 15 fucking people in that house. So you're going to get woken up, usually during REM sleep. And then when you wake up, you're tired as shit, so you drink some Red Bull. Anywho, that covers collective narcissism, effort justification, the bottom line mentality, and sleep deprivation. So, Kyva, if you could, edit your comment and throw those up at the top. And I think we'll be almost halfway through. All right. Peace.